use that yet. That's for the practice afterward. I just handed it out now. Don't go there. Don't type anything. Good. I brought this up. I logged into my account. I was about to order wine. I was trying to make good use of my time. We have this great place where we order wine by the case, and we get it about 50 to 60% off the wine. Plus, they deliver it free to our door in Alaska, which is in lower 48. They do it in Alaska. No one does it but them. So we get some really good wine, mostly because we make wine, and ours is never old enough to drink. So we're always having to order wine.
How can I support you with this piece?
I'm just going to sit down and operate it. Do the same thing you've been doing.
You know how to zoom in and out like I've been doing?
No, I do not.
That was a control.
Scroll. Okay.
Scroll.
Good to
now,
know.
if you're in the middle of a map or something, and you do this, it might zoom in and out of the map itself as opposed to the scroll. So just be aware of that.
Okay. You can stay here and save me if something happens.
I don't want to sleep now.
Can you got the mics on? Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. I'm the only one going right now, so. I'm going to be sitting down here. Then I'm going to sit down.
Sitting down is good also.
Okay. Okay, anybody got any last minute questions? The online audience, we have one more segment to go. You can't run to the finish line, you got to run through the finish line. All the way to the end.
Did you get that from Patton?
I did, personally. So, not quite as intensive today with stuff, right? I mean, we didn't throw nearly as many tools at you, did we? It didn't feel the same as the first day, did it? Some of you are going, yes. And for everybody who's online listening in here, we're going to try to retape all the things we did before lunch on the first day that had bad streaming, so that they're on the site right now that you can see, but we're going to redo them. So that will include the setting up new accounts, naming conventions, that piece, all the Google accounts, and then we'll probably redo Blogger as well, because I think that was an important one and it was glitchy through the morning. So I don't know. We'll try to do those tonight is the plan, and then have them up there tomorrow. Okay. All right. So here we're going to talk about, you'll notice most of the time I'm the one up talking sort of about strategy and the philosophy behind social media, and Nathan's been doing the tools. And I say that because as a lead on a team, I don't have time to do actual, work. I don't have time to actually write press releases or do the social media, because I'm always, in meetings or conference calls or meeting with the IC, and I'm supposed to keep a more strategic view. But I do have to know, for those of you who are leads or aspire to be leads, you can't just say, well, I'm just going to hire people to do the social media for me. You have to know enough about the tools to know how they meet your strategic goals, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But you have to say, here are the sideboards, here's what I want you to do, here's how I want you to use it to meet these goals, to know enough about new tools and tools going on. I don't know every detail about tools, which is why Nathan's doing it, because he knows way more details about tools than I do. But I know how to use them strategically and how they will meet my vision and the vision of my team. But in this particular case, I actually know a tool better than Nathan does. So I'm going to demonstrate this tool. Now, this is a Google map. And as we talked about before, maps are critical, maps and pictures. And I would say maps, more than anything else, are the number one thing people want. Remember the guy sitting at Berry Point Fire who said, I went and looked and the last map was 4 hours old? People don't understand that we don't have, they actually think, this is what they've told me, they actually think that we know where the edge of the fire is at all times. That we can go out and put our finger on the ground and look on a map and go, it's right here. It's right there. It's going to right there. So when people ask me, I point at the map, they say, oh, is this a current map for right now? I say, absolutely not. That was a map when we flew the fire yesterday at 3 o'clock. No, it's not accurate. It's not even close. Well, where is the fire? Well, I don't know exactly. We have to go out and map it again. But they think that we know real time where the edge of the fire is. So I think that's important for all of us to educate people. That's on us as PIOs to tell them at meetings, this is how we do maps, this is when you're going to get them. But part of it too is retaining control of your map. Now, I discovered something about InciWeb. How many of you, just by hand, how many of you have been to InciWeb? Okay, excuse me. Sorry. You know how when you pull up a fire, there's a map on the InciWeb page, right? Right there in front over your incident? Hard to believe, but that map is hand pushed over to InciWeb. At least when I checked last summer, hand pushed. There is a company called Geomac that does other things, and at one point somewhere in the past, this is the story as told to me, they said, hey, you know, we could provide you with current perimeters because that's what they do. So we could throw the perimeter. Okay. And then when they did InciWeb, well, we'll just push it over to InciWeb. Oh, sure, we'll do that. But it's not part of their job. They're not mandated. They're kind of out of the goodness of their heart pushing these over. And I hope nobody's out there from Geomac or everybody saying, that's not how it is anymore, which it may have changed. But at the time, the way it's been, here's what happened. I called because my map wasn't updated. It was like 4,000 acres short. And I'm like, it's a Saturday. I'm like, what is the deal with my map? Because I have no control over that map. None. So if it's not updated, I can't, it doesn't come from my GIS department. I have no way to get into it, to fix it, to replace it, or anything. So if it's wrong and the public's calling me saying, that's not right, it's closer than that to my house, I'm like, I can't, and it makes us look bad because maps are what people count on. So I called InciWeb. I called the help desk. This should have been my first sign when I called. Bring, bring. Hello, help desk. Yeah, and ask about InciWeb. What's InciWeb? I'm like, this is not going to go well, you know. So anyway, I explained InciWeb. Oh, I think you need. So they pass me around to a bunch of people, and I get somebody who says, well, I have to check. She calls me back and says, I found the engineer who pushes the map over, and here's his phone number. So I called him. I said, the map I have on my page, it's not, what's wrong with the system? He said, well, there isn't a system. He said, I have to push it over, and I'm fishing today. I'm like, well, but really? A person pushes this over? Why does a person? Well, that's the way the system's set up. Well, he goes, all right, I'll push your map over, but I'm not doing any. I said, there's fires all over the country. You can't just push my map over. Other people have maps. He goes, I'll push yours over, but everyone else is going to have to wait. All right. So he pushes my map over. And within probably a half an hour, I get a call from someone. Maybe she's on here, Shannon on another team, and she says, I was noticing that my map is not up to date, but yours is. And I was like, I told her, and she was, again, like, are you kidding me? So that led me to I need to have control over my map because I'm being judged by my map. And if I can't control it, I'm failing for a reason I have no control over. That makes me crazy. If I fail for something I did, okay, but if I fail for that. So there used to be a thing called Google Crisis Maps. And Google Crisis Maps were things that Google has a crisis team, which you may or may not know, and that crisis team goes to help in things like Katrina and Haiti. They build maps and interfaces like we talked about yesterday. So this used to be a map that you had to have them build for you. And I would call them and they would build me the map. Well, then over a year period, I was part of a team that was doing some beta testing on the idea of a publicly sourced and publicly built usable map. And they finally made it, it's still in beta test. I think you found out anything. It's still in beta mode, but it's public. Anyone can use it. And it lets me build my map any way I would like to. So I'm going to show you how this works and how to build this map. The instructions you have there are exactly what was on the screen before, so that you can walk through and practice building a test map yourself. It is simple to do. It makes you a great map. And in the end, you have an HTML code that you can drop into Blogger, and ba-boom, just like on that smoke map, you have a map. Okay? So I'm going to explain how this works. All right. So first of all, the address at the top is at the top of that page that you have there. Google.org. I'll see if I can. What did you say? It's control in yours? Oh, that doesn't make that bigger. Okay, I'll just read it. It's if you're online, go into the SMEM folder, and there is a sheet of paper in there called Google Maps, and it's the same thing that we're looking at here. It's google.org/crisismap/. /A, the small letter A, /dot, like a period, maps. Once you go in, you come to this particular page. Now I'm going to ask you, because is to just watch what we're doing and maybe follow along on the page, but don't worry about trying to do it by yourself now. Watch what we're doing on this particular page. I have a number of maps that I've built. So we're going to create a new map. So we create a map, and then you have this sort of policy. I'm creating a map for crisis, humanitarian, social good, or testing. I'm acting on behalf of a 501 nonprofit. Well, we're testing, right? Or if fire, it's a crisis. So either way, that's what I build the map for. So I click this and I say continue. And then we wait a little while. Okay, so now I have to find the place I want to build the map for. Now I happen to know that there is a fire in the South Dakota. So just so we have something that we'll show on our map. Okay, so we're kind of in South Dakota. I can change that view, but you can type whatever. You can either scroll in or you can type the name in the top corner there, okay? I'll follow my actual directions and make sure. Okay, so you're in your location, and then you need, right here where it says Untitled Map. So I click on that and I say, I'm going to call this SMEM, oops. Okay, we'll just call it that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to call it. Oh, you can put a description in if you want to. You can have a footer that goes under your map. You can do whatever. And I want to use a road map as my base. That's what's showing now. I can also use terrain, satellite imagery, whatever you'd like to use.
If you're testing this map, if you're creating one, make sure you have something like test or exercise in the title.
Yeah. Okay, so road map. I'll just leave road map, and so you can change whichever you want. And I'm going to say OK. Let me go in a little closer. Okay, so now you can see here, I have named my map. Okay, I'm going to follow my directions here. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bring layers in. Now the way this works is, because like I said, this is like a crowdsourced map. That is the layers provided, and you know what I mean by GIS layers? You can have the weather, you can have whatever. All those layers, when you bring a layer in here, if you actually import a layer that's not in here, it becomes available for public use. So everyone that's using this program that has brought a layer in, as you will see, all those are available. So there must be 1,000 layers in here, and I can use any of them on my map. So when I bring layers in, anyone else can use any of mine. It's a publicly sourced map that we can all build our maps from. Am I explaining that okay? All right, so I'll show you what I mean. I say here, add layer. And then it says, it gives me, I can, right here if I want, create a layer of my own. And you see down here at the bottom, these are the kind of layers I can bring in. If someone builds me some of those layers, we are not going to go into building these layers today. Okay? But if you have somebody who can build you a KML, and I would argue that most of your GIS staff on a fire can build you a KML data stream. That's all this is a data stream from something. When you saw that one map that had the air quality monitors, we went to the air quality Air Now people. We asked them, send us your KML data stream that you use. They gave us that. We put it in here. So all I would have to do if I had it is drop it right in this URL thing, and it'll work. It'll bring it in. Okay, so we're not going to actually build layers. We're going to use the layers that are in here, because for our purposes, everything we need is in here. Okay, but what's in here is I'm going to import already published layers. I'm not going to create a new layer. I'm going to import the published layers. And then we wait, because there are a lot of layers. Okay. You'll notice a lot of these are not in English. This is used all over the world. People have brought in, I don't even know how many layers are in here. The one thing, since it's still in beta test, that I have gone to Google and asked about is, please, will you put this in alphabetical order or put a search thing on here? Because I have to scroll through everything to find the maps I previously built to use my layers, and it's kind of a pain. We won't worry about finding mine. We'll just grab what looks interesting, because you can have anything in here on your map. I don't even know what these are, so we won't put these in here. Ooh, probably that's gasoline. Kentucky flood maps. I don't know what this is. I know that cartographia means map. My demo map. If it has an arrow next to it, it means there's more under it. This untitled folder has some things underneath it. Fire data. Yes, I don't know where these look. Italian, French, Utah test. So I'm looking for something that has some layers that I might be interested in. And I have actually built in about 60 layers that we use in the PIO world. It's probably way down there for me to find it. So I'm going to, let's look for, let's do US active fire perimeters. Click. Now you see down here it says one layer selected. That's all you have to do is just click it. Now scroll down. Maybe there's shelters. I'll click on that one. Now scroll down. Ooh, fire global alerts. Let's take that one. We'll scroll down. Ooh, cloud cover. Cloud cover is always good. And mind you, when these layers are built, often they are national layers. If you go to NOAA and you build cloud cover, you're going to get cloud cover on the whole United States. Now you're only zoomed in on your area, so you don't care about the rest, but it's covering the whole rest of the United States. So let's just, Red Cross shelter system, you never know. Let's see. Got storms, we have, red flag warnings, let's try that. Oh, NOAA wind, that's good. Weather forecast conditions, you just click on the ones you want. Smoke and air quality, what the heck? Now I don't know, that may be only local. Oh, that's US, that's the US Red Cross. And how about FEMA disaster recovery centers? And let's see, evacuation zones, ooh, Mayan volcanoes. US storm reports. Okay, so now you see at the bottom we have 11 layers. You can pick whatever you want. I am in the process of building one. See where it says Kentucky crisis map? I'm in the process of building one that says public information officer map. And it will have the 60 layers we normally use in fire. Just find that one and you pick from those layers. Or you can just scroll through and take them from Cartagena or wherever these people are. Whatever works for you. Okay, now once I've picked the ones that I want, I say import selected layers. And suddenly things appear on my map. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to, up here on the top, layers. I'm going to click on the layers. Let me scroll out just a little bit so that you can see. You can see it's all over the US, even though we're really only interested in a small area, and I'll zoom back in. But I want to show you over here. See, you can see these are fires. When you click on something, it shows you this is a Modus fire lat long over here on the right. I can click on this and it will show me that's the Kazwander Morning City Super. I don't know what that says up there. This is obviously weather observation of some sort. That's what these blue dots are. Now I can tell which of my layers is giving me which of these by turning them off and on. If I click on shelters, on US active shelters, I'm looking to see if anything changes. That's what I do. I just look at my map in the area and see if anything changes. Okay, I didn't see anything change on the map. So I can delete this layer because apparently there aren't any active shelters in the area we want. Okay, fire global alerts. Let's take that off. Oh, look what disappeared. So now I know what layer that's coming from, right? Cloud cover. Let's see what we have. Oh, that's what all that stuff is. Okay, so we'll leave cloud layer on. Red Cross shelter system. Off and on. Oh, that's weird. The Red Cross has apparently got fires in its data layer. Sometimes people ask me, can you take off the dots that do that? I'm saying, you don't understand. I'm not putting these on here. I'm just grabbing a data stream. Whoever it came from, they put that in there. I don't have any control over the layer that's in here. So maybe that's a good layer, maybe it's not. But let's say that's weird. I wonder why it disappears when I check it and reappears. That's interesting. Okay, so let's leave it off for the moment. Red flag warnings. Ah, that was our red flag warning. Okay, so we go through and we see which layers are doing something. Oh. These are wind, see these little wind indicators? These are indicating which direction the wind is blowing. Maybe that's interesting to people in fires, especially as I zoom in closer because there'll be more. Okay, smoke and air quality. Ooh. That's what those little green dots are. Those are air quality monitors. And it's brought in by AirNow, air quality indicators. Okay, so you see the point. We just brought in whatever layers we want. I check and see what layers they are, what they're bringing in. Then let's see, we'll follow the directions. Delete layers you don't want. Click the box to the left of the layer for the, now what we're doing is setting our default. So what ones of these layers do we want always on? When someone logs into our page and they look at our map, you don't want all your layers on. You want some of your layers on. So maybe say I only want the fire global alert. So I'm going to take off cloud layers. I'm going to take off NOAA wind. I'm going to take off the weather. I'll leave the air quality, and I'm going to take off, let me see what this one is. That's very weird why it does that. Okay, so ignore that. Red flag warning. I'm trying to get rid of the blue. That's what that was. Okay. It's very odd. This layer here seems to be attached to something. The ones we have in the PIO page are a little cleaner than this. They aren't attached to odd things. So anyway, let's just say, let's take off the air quality indicator so we have kind of a cleaner map. Okay, so let's say that's the map that we want to have over South Dakota. All right. Then you can also, if you go up here to arrange, I can make folders that contain similar things. I can make a folder that that has a how do I say that are similar, like all fire things can go together. And all, okay, first I have to do something else. Hang on just a minute. You have to go here and say add folder. Okay, right here next to arrange, add folder. Then I say arrange, and the folder is right here. It's an untitled folder, but I can name it. Now I want all my fire ones, so I'm going to move these up into, go in there. Doesn't want to go in. Hang on. Maybe I have to title it first. Let me try that. Oop, fire folder. Okay. So I have a fire folder. Now we'll go to arrange, and we'll see if we can drop these in the folder. We should, I'm trying to get it to drop. There. When you see it a sub underneath it, you know it's indented, you know that it's gone in there. Okay, now I have 2 fire ones in there. Then, so maybe that's all I have for fires. So you see, then I say, okay, and now over here I have a fire folder, and it will have subfolders underneath it, okay? So I can arrange these, because sometimes you have, 30, 40 layers, and so you want weather, fire, storms, emergency, or public shelters, and those kinds. You can arrange your folders that way. Okay. So every once in a while, you have to remember up here to hit save. Here's the little save button, just so that if something happens, you've saved your map so far. So go back to the map list now. Here's the next step is we need to take the map here, and we need to scroll in to the view we want. How close do we want it? Let's say this is the view that we like, and we now have all the layers clicked that we want. The other layers that aren't clicked here, they'll still show. They just won't be in the default layer. They're still in there. They just won't be on when the map first comes up. People will be able to go into a layer and turn those layers on as they choose. So we put in everything we think people will be interested in, but maybe I only turn on the fires and I leave everything else off, and then you turn it on yourself. Okay, so now I'm going to, this is saved already. Trying to find my other, let me just save this one more time. I'm trying to find, there's one piece I am missing. About here. We go back to about. We were on layers. That's what showed us all layers. Go back to about, and we say save current view as default. That will make sure that when our map appears on the page, that's the default. It's this close. It's this view of the map is what people will see. Now they can still scroll in and out like you can with any Google map, but it ensures that it loads a map that is the view I want them to see. Here's the map, and here are the layers I want you to see. Now scroll in and out and add whatever layers you want. It comes after that. Now I go back to the map list right here. This is going to take me back to that main page we signed in. Oh, I didn't save. That's what I didn't do. I'll go back, and now it's taking forever. It's going to go. See, when I change the view, I have to remember to go back in and save. I won't worry about it. We'll save it next time, but it's... Your computer is like really Okay, so now we're back here. And here is our test map. Okay, and I'm following my directions here so that I make sure that when you follow them, it's exactly the right thing. Okay, to the right of the Gmail here, there's a blank hole. So in here, type the name of your map. So let's call it SMEM map. And then I'm going to click publish. And then when I do that, it's going to ask me for a name. This name will appear for attribution on the published map. So if you want it to be from Maine Forest Rangers, type that in there. If you want it to be from whatever you want it to be called, it's going to show on the map. So SMEM training 15 map. Okay, and then I say publish. And then we wait for a little while.
That's good. I had all day.
What it's going to do is, when it gets there, it's going to take us back to the map. I lied. It's not going to take me out. It's going to take me here. It's going to be back here, and then this little link right here is now my published map. Okay? Now when I click on this, it takes me back to this map, which is, it does, I didn't save the default layer. That's, okay. So I can fix it, but just for grins, let's pretend. See what I mean when I tell you when it applies layers, it applies it everywhere. Okay? I can, yeah, look, there's, well, this is a, let's put, okay, so we'll go back to South Dakota. Now we haven't saved this default layer, but you can see how people can scroll in wherever they want to make the map be whatever they want. Now, pretend like this is our saved default layer, and this is what we came back to. Now I go up here to share, and look, what do I have here? I have an HTML code. I copy that, I go back to Blogger, pull up a gadget for HTML, and drop it in, and this map will appear. Now the only thing you have to do to make this a little better if you see here, and this has to do with altering your HTML code only in one way. See how it says 400 by 400 in the size here in this HTML code? What happens is it appears only this, you know, the blog page is this wide, so the map's only this wide, and it's over to the left. So you have to adjust the width, and I believe I adjust this to about 800. And then I copy the HTML. And I can actually alter it when I finally drop it in Blogger. If I just open that gadget, the HTML code comes up again, so if it's not quite big enough, I can change it again and make it 900 and see how it fits, and make it so that it fits side to side. And I can make it a little bit taller if I change the height. But that's the only thing I ever mess with in the HTML code, because I don't know anything else about HTML code.
You don't distort it?
What?
And it doesn't distort it?
No. So I copy this, the whole gigantic thing, Control copy, and then I close this. I can also paste the link in an email or anything else you want to do, a message, and then I just close it. And then if I want to, I can open the blog. What's the? Oh yeah, but I'm logged into my account.
You should.
Oh yeah.
You might not. You don't have full permission to edit the template, so you need to jump back up there.
So then he'll have to. See, these are all. I have a whole bunch of blogs in here too, but we'll let you log into yours. Maybe it'll. Oh.
Do you need? Are you going to get back into your map? I'll do it.
No, just. So we'll log in and we'll show you. Normally, I'm logged into my Gmail account, and I'm logged into my Blogger. Then I go build the map, so I just copy it, scroll over, and dump it in. It's very simple, but we're having to switch accounts here because I don't own the blog. Okay, so he goes to Layout, and he grabs a gadget.
You want to put it up on top?
Yeah, on top. I usually like mine on top. You could put a map on the side if you wanted. Find the HTML one. There. Add one of those. Right click and paste it in, just like you did before. And then up top, give it a, if you want, you can give it a title, which will appear above the map, SMEM test map or training map or whatever you want to call it. Okay, and down at the bottom of this, you save it. And we hope and keep our fingers crossed that it is trying to show up on the top of the map. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So it,
Never clapped for me.
well, see, they expect it from you. They're amazed to see that I actually built something like this. So what you can do is, for instance, what I do sometimes is I bring in both, when there are fires, I bring in both the GeoMac and the InciWeb. Now, I'll show you here when we're doing this. You can click on these fires, and when you're in it, it gives you the Modus fire information. If I brought in a GeoMac layer, I bring in a lot of layers because one shows me the Modus fire information, which is this. The InciWeb layer, when you click on the InciWeb icon, it brings up the first paragraph of stuff that's on InciWeb, which is kind of cool to have on the map. If I bring in the GeoMac layer, it brings in the perimeter. Now remember, I'm not positive about GeoMac providing the perimeter, but I use it until they don't show up one day. And then I can go to my GIS people and I can say, I need every day, you know, they're making me digital maps to use, and I need you to make me a KML stream of the perimeter of the fire every day. They put it on the FTP site anyway, the map. When they build a GIS map, they have a layer. I just need that layer in a KML file, and then I bring it in here, and then now I'm in control of my perimeter because I got it from my fire people, and I'm not counting on these guys to do it, just in case they don't. But you know, I usually start by letting them do it because most of the time it's there. But boy, when I need it to be there and it's not, I got to have a way to do it. And I think this gives me a more interactive map. So you'll see that this is a little bit off center. See how it's wider over here than it is over here? So, and if I didn't want it quite this tall, I could go back into design and I could go back into layout. And I click on this, I edit this map, and I go in here and I make it, maybe I only want it 300 tall, and I want it 900 wide. And I go to the bottom and I save it again. And then I view the blog again. And now we'll see if it's, there actually is a way, but I can't remember. At the bottom, you can go in and say, center my map. So it'll center it no matter, so you could have a smaller map that's centered, but I can't remember how to do that. So I just stretch it till it's the right size. So there's my map. It's a little narrower, and it's, but it's wide enough.
Got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay. One of them said they went into the settings and do not have a block apps area. They have only add apps area.
Oh, that's Facebook.
Oh, is that Facebook stuff? Okay.
Yes.
There was another one that said,
I'll let Nathan answer that question.
who will see this right after you publish it before you paste the HTML code somewhere?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that it's not, it might be, for instance, my map is probably in that list of maps where all the, remember the maps we went through to find layers? It's probably published in there. But all it is layers everyone else has. I mean, I didn't bring in anything special, you know. You have to be careful that you don't bring in a layer that's private. Like you don't want to bring in the layer of all evacuated homes. Those layers ought not be on a public map. Those should be handled by your ops people and the sheriff, not, it should be. So don't bring in things that are proprietary. Be careful of that, because these are public. Anyone can use them anywhere.
And that's why I piped up and I said, if you're going to create a test map, you need to make sure you have it say test map on there, even if you don't put it anywhere, because it is plausible that someone who is also playing around somewhere will find that map on the Google Crisis system and think, oh, there's a fire or there's a flood somewhere. So that's why if you're testing, you need to make sure it says exercise or test on your title.
Is there another question on that?
Well, it looked like they kind of answered it themselves, but it sounds like somebody said it would be nice if the maps let you add your own points. For example, the layers, there's nothing for Canada. And then somebody else said, I just found it in your layers, so I'm not sure where they were looking.
Okay, so I would imagine, this is a Google map. If Google Maps shows Canada, you're going to see Canada. There's Canada. Isn't that Canada? It's over the border of...
The issue that you're having here is your data points are only good as the data stream.
Right.
So you need to find, if you're in Canada, you
Canadian
need to
data
find
streams.
data streams that fit for Canada.
Because the data streams that we're using are probably pulled from national, like the Weather Service. It's U.S. weather or it's U.S. monitors. So you just have to go to the same Canadian entities. They have the same streams, and you just build the same way you put those streams into your. Remember where we imported and where it said create new layer? Once you go in there and look at that, you'll see a whole string of new kinds of layers that can be brought in. Take that list to your GIS people and say, build me a layer that gives me the weather for the next 3 days that's in one of these data streams. And they'll know. I mean, stay in your lane. This is, we can't be good at everything. I have people who know how to do that, and they'll build those layers for me.
If I could offer up another suggestion, Google Maps also has a much simpler version where you can create a map with your own points and whatnot, and then that map, I'm going to make an assumption here, I'm assuming you could turn that map into a KML stream, which then could be imported right back into this main map.
If you've heard of My Maps, we use those, and I'll show you an example, or tell you an example, not show you, but we were just discussing this a while ago. You can take My Maps, you can build a map, for instance, of your trap line. Mm-hmm. And that map, you can put a point for everywhere that you are going on your trap line where there's a stop. And you can also build information into that data point that says, the maps are posted on the front window. The manager's name is Bob. Here's his phone number. And they like to have the small 11 by 17 map and one press release. And then they want handouts at the counter inside. So a new PIO coming in to run the trap line, you just give him the link to that map on his phone, and they can follow that map on their phone to every single place, even if they've never been there. And they know exactly what to put where because it's all in the instructions. So you can build maps, and I have never tried to bring that one in. But it's simple. It's not that difficult to do. I have built maps there. In fact, we did for one of these maps, we built evacuated schools. And the Google people were still doing it, and they helped me, showed me how to put the dots for the schools in on the My Maps for the schools that were evacuated, and then we brought that layer in, or I should say they did it for me at the time. They brought that layer in to show on the map. So it's only a matter of getting the data, and so when in the layer that you need to bring it in. And then people say, well, I don't want this dot to show. And I'm like, you don't have any control over the data stream. Whatever's in the data stream comes in. But so when you fight, you'll see I changed the background. I can have it map. I can have satellite. This is what the satellite view is. When I say layers, all those layers that we put in are still there. For some reason, they're all turned on. I'm not sure why they're all turned on. But I can turn off or turn on whatever I choose to using this. And that's available to everybody who looks at the map. They can turn on and off whatever layers they want to. Okay? Now, even more importantly, where did my map page go?
You're on another window.
No.
Yeah, if you're not in here, minimize this.
Here, you drive. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to show you, because you're going to build a map, and you're going to call it, ONI's test map, whatever you're going to call it. And then I want to make sure I show you how to delete it. So go back, put in about. No, go back. Let's go back. Okay, now I can drive. Once we're here, you go back to this part. Once you're done, you've looked at your map, you've sewn it, and everyone is proud of you, and it's beautiful. I go here and I say, delete this map. Do you want to delete the training test map? Yes, I do. And it will eventually delete it. That way we don't leave a bunch of test maps in there, because there's a lot to scroll through anyway, and you can have it in there for a minute, but then I want you to publish it, and then I want you to grab the HTML. So this is what the exercise will be at this particular point, okay?
Oh, so don't hit publish?
Oh no, hit publish. I'm just saying I don't want you to leave it in there forever. Did you already make a map, Sean? You are a high achiever. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to go practice building a map and make sure you call it Cindy's test map, whatever that might be. Then I want you to get through to the point where you find the HTML code, copy the HTML code, and put it into your blog. I think once you delete the map on here, it's going to delete out of your blog, so make sure you see it in your blog and you test the layers and you do your thing. Then I want you to, don't close the tab that has the Google Crisis map in it. You can just go back there and delete it. Is that all clear to everybody, online, everywhere else? And online, you should have in the SEM folder is the step-by-step of how to build the map. So you didn't have to write it down while I was
A
talking.
potential point of failure that we're going to have here is if everyone is trying to put a gadget on our blog, that might not work so well. So if you're having issues trying to add the HTML code in a gadget on the blog,
If you have your own blog, put it on your own
correct.
blog.
Yeah, you're
Don't
going
put
to
it
have
on there.
issues.
Yeah, use your own blog if you can do that, or build one really quick just to put the map in. Really quick. I mean,
If you're going to try to use it on the test training blog that we set up, try to make a small map on the side and just add another gadget below the most recent one. That'll work out. Don't try to put it up on the top where everybody's is going to be, because that'll be a problem.
and I'm not sure if we told you this quite as well as we should. When you're putting a gadget in on the maps, you can move those gadgets anywhere you want. So if you don't like it where it is, you want to switch the order, you want to drag it to if you have columns on the left and right, you can drag it from the left to the right. You can take the bottom ones and drag them up to the center if that's what you want. So you can move the gadgets around wherever you want. So it's, you know how we went we went to the
Totally different window.
here, that's all right, I'll just show this one. So this is another blog I built this is a collaborative blog, but up here, if you don't want it to appear up here in this area, then grab one of the gadgets over here and post, and you can fit that map over here. Now 400 by 400 may be too big for that side column, depending on how wide you made your blog. So you're gonna have to edit that HTML code so that it fits in the column nicely. That would be a good practice. But everybody who can and who built their own blog, try put it in that one. Any place you want. If you're using your own blog, put it at the top. But if you're using the SMEM one, you'll have to put it off to the side, I guess. Everybody put your own gadget. Tell me, how many in here are going to use don't have their own blog? Not a problem. Okay, so use your own blog, and if you're online, I hope you have your own blog. If not, you can use the SMEM blog. So that's the end of this, and we will be back.
We're done here.
Oh, after you practice. Yeah, we're just going to practice for the next hour or so, and we'll be done at probably 5 o'clock here or whenever people get tired. And for tomorrow, we'll be back at 0800 for the online audience. So if you will go and practice yourselves, then we will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. And we are going to do some questions and answers tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah, tomorrow morning we should have
Walk this way.
Tomorrow morning we should have a half-hour block in the morning to just answer some questions that you guys might have. So think of questions that you've had, and we'll try to start off the day by answering those questions for you as best as we can, at least. That goes for those people online as well.
So online, if you're going to have some tomorrow morning you want us to address, if you can email them this afternoon. I mean, we'll be here to answer them this afternoon, but if you come up with some early in the morning or whatever, just send them either in the chat box or just email, and we'll get to those.
And that email is nemoteams@gmail.com. nemoteams@gmail.com. I think that's wraps it up for our Gmail presentation. Go ahead and practice
Google Maps.
our
not
Google
Gmail.
Maps presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. I'm very curious now. I want to see it. I know you can because I've seen it done. The question is how easy.